4chan is a website that is infamous across the internet and has been for many years. Just the name of the website itself, I'm sure, evokes the image of one crazy instance that has happened on there, or something that the users of the website have exposed. You may think immediately about the man who created chlorine gas in his apartment to test out his new gas mask, not realizing that the resulting mixture would also burn and soak into the skin and kill him within 30 minutes. On the other end of the spectrum, you may think of the notorious expose of a Burger King worker who liked to step on lettuce before serving up to customers. 4chan users managed to track his workplace and identity almost instantly and were able to get him fired. While 4chan's power and influence may have waned slightly over the last few years, these cases are stark reminders of just what 4chan is capable of. Today, I'm going to be talking about one particular occurrence on 4chan's paranormal board, X, where a seemingly innocuous spam email to a user turned out to be a desperate plea for help and sparked an in-depth investigation. On the 16th of June 2021, one anonymous 4chan user would make a post to the paranormal board stating that they had received a strange email. Attached to the email was a 116-page document that seemed to just be full of disconnected rantings and ravings that appeared to be a spammer with a little bit too much time on his hands. Reading the subject of the email, however, would show that this was not exactly the case. The subject reads, June 11th, 2021. The American KKK is targeting my family, and also a second-generation Mexican-American Klansman's grandson. My wife is being put through local hate groups. The initial poster stated that he discussed the email and the document with his friends before disregarding it as spam, and was shocked to discover just how large and detailed the document was. Unfortunately, due to the age of the archive link, the document and contents in its entirety aren't fully available to view and access anymore, and the link just 404s. Thankfully for us, the original user and the users in the thread were able to summarize the important parts as they went along. The first things that became apparent upon a skim read through the 115-page document were two key names that appeared to be involved heavily in this case: Felix Gonzalez and Corey Metcalf. The document mentions these two names and says that two Anglo and Latin white supremacy males sent criminals out of hate of a race and gender to break into my woman's home through her bedroom window as she slept. Two racist criminals broke through the American woman's bedroom window and injected her in the heart poisonously, and the American woman is lucky to have survived. While I was away, the city made her set to testify inside of a prior crime of just as much severely deadly intent dating further back. The young woman and myself were shot at in different attempts in our lives. Assault firearms fired off, standing a foot away from the young woman's window at 3 o'clock in the morning. Bad guy in custody. We were being put through a local hate group network of members headed by Felix Gonzalez and Corey Metcalf, informing the racist leaders to be told that. A cursory search using Google did not immediately bring up any information related to the two mentioned individuals, but it did not take long before these 4chan users managed to dig something up. It turns out that both of the two men mentioned are registered criminals in the state of Nebraska, more specifically, the city of Omaha. Carlos Gonzalez was involved in a hit-and-run incident in the fall of 2020. Corey Metcalf, it turns out, was actually a registered sex offender. Immediately, this sparked concern, especially when the initial sender of the email goes on to explain the horrific abuse that both he and his partner had suffered at the hands of these two people already. He says this, I just want the world to know what she has been forced to endure from Felix and Carlos Gonzalez hate group. Brazen because of their cartel money, experimenting with their white supremacist shock killing plan. It has been nothing like any woman on earth could have been forced to deal with. The closest we are describing these incidents is shameful, even for shameful racist criminals. The mystery of the situation was ramping up quickly, and certainly did not stop there. At the end of the email was a unique signature that was signed by the poster, JCR JHRT. Attempting to Google the signature, strangely, resulted only in this chat room called Black Hat Chat and required a username and a password to access. The 4chan users now had 4 persons of interest and a plan of action they were going to follow. 1. Carlos Gonzalez, the Latin white supremacist, was the first. The only lead is the hit and run he was involved with. Next is Corey Metcalf, the Anglo-white supremacist. Because of his registered sex offender status, a lot more was known about him. Next, they had to figure out who this mysterious JCR was, what exactly he had suffered at the hands of these two criminals, and how exactly he could be helped. The final person of interest is the woman related to JCR. Nothing at all is known about her at this current time, aside from the fact that she is a target of a harassment and smear campaign conducted against her, presumably because of her race, and possibly other factors. With names and a plan of action, it did not take long for one native Omaha resident to begin to crack the case wide open. The user, going by the name of Omaha Anon, managed to dig up a sizable amount of information on both JCR, who turned out to be called Justin, and also on the two criminals. He would go on to say this: "I live in Omaha, so I decided to dig into this. This thing is indeed an actual call for help. It's not a scam, but it's unclear how it got sent. Justin claims his phones get hacked, so maybe there is malware on it that is spamming stuff. I didn't read all of it, as he's mostly just rambling the same stuff over and over. Imagine a crackhead or slightly crazy dude who only has a rudimentary understanding of English grammar typing this stuff while high, but I got enough of the main points to put together a plausible scenario. Some of his claims add up, so I felt compelled to do this because this Corey Metcalf is now living in my zip code, one of the safest in Omaha, about a couple blocks away from my best friend. Justin, JCR JHRT, black guy who emigrated here from Germany with his girlfriend/wife. Text of his email reveals he is being called the N-word. He probably could only afford cheap housing when he moved here and got caught up in the wrong crowd since he might be a drug user. Girlfriend and female friend are being constantly targeted for rape and beatings by gangbangers. He may have stumbled into part of the recruitment arm for a human trafficking ring. 4602 Cass Street, Omaha, NE 68132 is an apartment complex where Justin and his woman lived. 4640 Izzard Street, Omaha is where this woman was gang with the intention of making her miscarry her baby last September. Made me feel like life isn't worth living anymore of the extreme abuse that happened at 46th and Izzard Street. The hate group members are wearing down my mate's willpower. She has for every second of our lives together always kept an undying faith in God and in prayer, but she is facing more than any person should have to face alone. That wasn't all this user was able to dig up on Justin. He also managed to find a personal TikTok account belonging to Justin, which revealed both his face and voice, as well as the place that he lives. Justin appeared to be a native German speaker, which was his preferred language to communicate in, but he did have a very extensive set of vocabulary and an expert grasp on the English language, which made things a lot easier. The TikTok account is still up to this day, but the last video posted to the account was the 3rd of June, 2021, almost 2 weeks before it caught the attention of these 4chan users. 3 of his most recent TikTok videos are all the same, and feature what is assumed to be Justin zooming in on a silver car that is parked across the street. The license plate is impossible to make out, at least from my eyes. Let me know if you can possibly identify what it says. While these 3 videos are the exact same, the description in each TikTok written by Justin all vary. In the first, he asked for someone to apprehend Carlos Gonzalez for robbing a gas station and stalking my family. The second one states that Carlos Gonzalez might not be the criminal's real name, and simply just a name he goes by, but considering the crimes linked to his name, it appears to not be a false name. Again, he pleads for the authorities to arrest him for a gas station robbery. The final repeated video says, "God bless y'all out here who are or have been victims," which then links to a Google Documents link, but the file is impossible to access without approval from Justin's account. Another video of his shows Justin filming some sort of plane or jet that flies over his house, which he comments on.
That was directly over us. As we go home, if you really want to mention, that one that went first, the jumbo jet, on its way out, it was early. But that one right there was directly above us the way they do. at the time, at the split second.
The description says that she is at home grunting in pain regularly, but there is nothing regular about the anguish. The she mentioned is presumably Justin's partner, who is the target of the harassment campaign, and from his comments, it appears she has been physically assaulted. He has a few other TikToks mentioning the hate that is being received, but there is one last one that stands out against the rest. Justin is standing a few hundred meters away from a building where some cars are parked. He films the cars for a few seconds before zooming out and panning to the floor directly to his left. When he zooms into the ground, you can see what appears to be 13 or so bullets scattered on the ground. They appear to be either 5.56 NATO rounds or .223. Whether the bullets are spent or not, I am unable to determine due to my lack of experience with firearms, but tell me down in the comments if this is something you are able to determine from the footage on screen. The 4chan user, Omaha Anon, actually managed to track down the exact location in one of the TikTok videos. Here is a street view image of where Justin was standing. Omaha Anon also talks about the Carter Lake area in Nebraska, which Justin mentions in the email. He says that the area has been a dangerous place for many years and is home to a large black population, which would make it a lucrative target for any white supremacist gang members. He goes on to say that meth dealing in the area caused a big rise in criminal activity, such as gang violence, shootings, and break-ins. In the 115-page document, Justin theorizes that the two men targeting his partner are involved in the meth dealing business, which makes a lot of sense for the area. This is a public image of Corey Metcalf, which is shown on the Nebraska Sex Offender Registry. Omaha Anon goes on to list the offenses Corey committed, which are publicly available. Corey Metcalf, offense statute, sexual assault of a child, F3A, convicted on the 15th of January 2003. 4 mugshots found, 2 of them he looks methed out. Most recent arrest was on the 28th of December 2020, released the next day. His new address in West Omaha is actually his parents' house, and they are still alive, so I'm assuming he's living with them, or using it just as a mail drop. The ironic thing is that this house is within 200 feet of Millard North Middle School and Caffer Elementary School. Here's a link to the registry. Scroll down to about halfway to find him. This site shows that he may have improperly given his current address and used a different middle name to muddy his trail. Unfortunately, no arrest records exist relating to Carlos Gonzalez, but it's possible that the records are merely not online or not currently publicly available. Users in the thread were, however, able to find a news article relating to the hit and run that he was arrested for. I will provide all links down below. After all of their hard work and research, it appeared that users on the site seemed to have reached a bit of a stumbling block, which left them with nothing left but speculation. Even with all this information, the cops seemed unwilling to do anything about it, which is most likely why Justin turned to the internet for help. Users would go back and forth and theorize about potential police corruption, as there is a history of it in the area. Here is what the users said. Omaha Anon. I really don't know what to do about any of this. None of it surprises me though, as stuff like this is constantly covered up by the people at the Omaha World Herald. They have a mission of maintaining Omaha's image to be as pure and innocent as possible. The cops here cover stuff up all the time as well. I suppose I could drive by Corey's parents' house and see if his truck is visible, just so I can warn my friend who lives near him to make sure his daughter stays away from that block. And on 1. Quality stuff, Omaha Anon. I recommend compiling all the evidence with notes on what is what or screenshots on what shows fraud on his part and delivering it to the relevant authorities anonymously. Corrupt or secretive as they are, I have a hard time believing that they'll willingly ignore a message from a member of public that they know a convicted child sex offender falsified their living records and is living within 200 feet of 2 separate schools, especially if you word it the right way. Full of offended sensibilities, implied personal involvement, and a level of agitation that would suggest that you just get unreasonable and escalate unless they solved it, like sending several copies to multiple news sources outside Omaha. Even worse when they can't backtrack to you and find you. Sex offenses are generally taken seriously because if police don't, the public start getting on their case. Ironically, you could do a bigger bust if you tried to word it and have the police not do anything about it. Take the proof of police contact and inactivity, and list records of previous police cover-ups, and then send it out to police-phobic news groups to highlight police corruption, or something in that line. I might also suggest snooping around to see if you can get proof of Metcalf Jr.'s living in the area, but I don't know about vigilantism laws or how practical it could be for personal safety or secrecy. Omaha Anon. There are more elements to this mess that I did not mention before, and this is where it gets complicated and dangerous. The house at his new address was listed for sale in December 2019, but there is no record of a sale that I can find. It's still in his dad's name, so what the hell happened? Did his parents change their minds about selling, retire to another state, and rent it out to Corey, who could use his meth gains to pay for it? Were they convinced that he turned a new leaf? As I mentioned, his parents aren't dead, so where are they? Plus, if Justin's claims are true, and he's witnessed Corey hobnobbing with cops, then he is protected. What was he actually arrested for on the 28th of December 2020, and why was he released the next day? Referencing the bigger bust, that would get me killed in short order if my anonymity was broken. Do you know of the Franklin cover-up? That was back in the 80s, and all that's happened since then is that they got better at hiding it. Original Fred poster. Well, that complicates things just a touch. What's your state's deal on police action / court action history access or gun ownership? I know in some places you can request access to police records if you have need of them, generally body cam footage, but I'm fairly certain it depends on state or country what kind of material you're allowed access to. If he's a registered sex offender, then he probably should have less protection over his criminal history, but if he's buddy-buddy, that's still a risk. The firearm access is more pressing. He shouldn't be able to own guns himself, but if he's in the meth rings, gang rings, police rings, and has buddies who have been involved in drive-bys, that lower access goes out the window. Also, if you're going to get more involved, it could be worth getting one yourself in the event of emergency. Though I will say, train with it for a couple hours first anon. Come to think of it, if an anon with time to spare could ask about buying the house, we might get some results on both finding his parents and figuring out what the deal is with his squatting there. Cheeky thought, if it's still up for sale, another anon out of the area makes some motions they like to buy it, and we get Omaha Anon to go around under the pretense of touring / inspecting the potential buy for any clues and stuff. Also, if we need, I know a CIA I think run spy base that could theoretically intercept a radio transmission if it tripped their buzzword rubric. I must say though, this kind of Scooby-Doo IRL stuff is why I love this board. Omaha Anon would go on to say that he was worried both for his own safety and of that of the victims if he were to try and make contact within the area in case of retaliation. He considers a stakeout, but laments that he does not have the right vehicle for it, and worries that he will make matters worse. The original poster of the thread passes on Justin's email to Omaha Anon so that he can possibly provide medication or food to Justin and his partner if it is needed, especially if law enforcement decided not to help. Once again, users on the site arm themselves with a simple checklist to try and solve the case. Contact Justin to have chats and assess situation. Contact Metcalf's parents to see what the deal is with ownership of the house and see if we can prove residence fraud for the known child sex offender who's reportedly living within 200 feet of two schools. Suss out where he's actually staying if he's not there. Think up a way to report this shit without getting corrupt cops on Omaha Anon's ass for busting their meth, drugs, hooker deals, and showing that he knows Omaha's not exactly a virgin maiden of cities. Hell, find out what the deal is with the police being reluctant to punish the dude at all. Child sex offense is pretty major and pretty bad image to sweep under the rug. Another update on this case would not come until over a year later, on the 20th of June, 2022. The poster of the original thread managed to do some digging and found a few more key pieces to possibly help solve the puzzle. The first thing OP found was a link to Justin's YouTube channel where he has uploaded 115 videos to his channel. Most of the videos feature screenshots of locations on Google Maps, and Justin rambling about the screenshots being pieces of evidence for his case. OP points out that Justin previously had more videos uploaded to his channel. One in particular being a video of Justin ranting in a hotel room that featured what is presumed to be his partner and the woman that is the target of the hate campaign. These videos have since been deleted, and no trace of them can be found anywhere. Another video involves Justin combing through spreadsheets which contains information on various Nebraska inmates. Another video features him combing through another spreadsheet which contains a list of emails, some being university emails, which is probably how Justin initially managed to contact the OP. How he found these spreadsheets or what relevance they have to the case is still unknown. It's possible that Justin decided to just email as many public addresses as possible in order to receive some form of help. Another finding made by OP is a profile that was created on the website christiandatingforfree.com, and it appears to be Justin. The profile has since been deleted. The OP of the thread ends with one final plea to help solve the case and provides his closing thoughts. So, I am once again asking for you all to see what is going on here. My friends and I's theory is that he has some form of delusional/paranoid schizophrenia, which is amplified by the gang activity around him. What can you all find? What do you make of this case? A real case of targeted harassment and abuse by two repeat criminals, or the delusions of a mentally unwell man? If the latter, it doesn't explain why the police have not apprehended two criminals blatantly breaking the law with mountains of evidence against them, and also how Justin has so much information about them and their lives. Assuming the users in the original thread contacted the local police, why has nothing still been done about these two? Leave your thoughts down below and any findings you make. I will leave all links in the description below, including any broken links just for evidence. I want to thank you all greatly for watching. It's been a long time since I've made a video for this channel, but it's something that I enjoy and want to bring more of, so please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I cover mysteries, cover-ups, history, theories, and much more. If you have a topic you'd like me to cover, leave it in a comment down below. Thanks very much guys. This has been Mariclea, and I will catch you on the next video.